Hi everyone, my name is Carly Bell and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials, and we get together usually one Friday a month to do a tutorial from start to finish that we call Sip and Stitch. So welcome everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Today is actually March 6th, but this is our February Sip and Stitch. I was sick all of last week and I had to postpone all of my classes, including this one. So, disclaimer at the beginning, I am better, I am well, but my throat, I guess you could say, and lungs are still not cooperating with me. And the more I talk, unfortunately, the more I cough. So I'm apologize in advance for the noises that I'm probably going to make during this show. I have a handful of cough drops in front of me, so hopefully it won't be too bad as I say that. So again, sorry in advance, but I am going to do my best. I'm really excited about today's project, and it's been a while. I miss you guys. I was excited to come back on. So very very happy to be back, but still trying to get my voice to cooperate. Sorry. Okay, so I'm looking in the chat. I want to tell everyone hi. Hey, Roberta and Pam and Jean and Debbie. And I see Trish is here. Sherry, Elsa. Thank y'all so much. Oh, we have Arva from Louisiana. Hi. I'm in southern Louisiana, right south of New Orleans. So love seeing another Louisiana girl here. So I hope y'all are all doing well. Yay, Roberta caught it live. Woo! You're here. You made it. So just want to take a second. Hi. I hope y'all are all doing great. I hope all of my friends in the Northeast have recovered from that horrible snowstorm that happened up there a couple weeks ago. Actually, I was in the Northeast for a trip. We went to Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, all in like 2 days. And it was a lot of fun. And we got to experience snow. And me and my family went skiing for the first time. We learned that we are not very good at it, but it was still a really fun experience. And the kids absolutely loved playing in the snow. But we were very lucky in that our flight home, it got delayed, but it didn't get canceled. And we were able to get out of Boston before that big snowstorm hit. So I hope all my friends up there are doing okay. I know the friends that we stayed with in Massachusetts sent us pictures the next day of how drastically, their driveway and their road and everything changed from the time we were there the day before. Yay. Let's see. Dawn said that she lived in Vermont for a few years, but she is not built for the cold. Another thing we learned, we enjoyed it for a week, and that was good. We were glad to come home to Louisiana, where it is, let's see, 79 degrees outside. So big change. But it was a lot of fun. The kids, that one night, it snowed. Like when we went there, everything was covered in snow, but it hadn't snowed in a while. And then midway through our trip, when we were on our way back from like driving to New Hampshire for the day, I went to an awesome quilt shop there. By the way, I'm going to show you what I got. It started snowing, and it snowed all afternoon and all night. So the next morning we got to see the change, and just that happened. But the kids literally stayed outside in the backyard for like 3 hours playing in this huge pile of snow. Elise even dug a tunnel like for them to go through. So they got their fill. So that was a lot of fun. So quick shout out while I'm on that topic. We went to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and there, let's see if I got the business card in my bag. We went to Portsmouth, I say Portsmouth because that's how it's spelled, Portsmouth Fabric Company. We went and visited there in, let's see if it's going to focus, like downtown Portsmouth. There we go. Lovely, lovely people there. Beautiful, beautiful quilt shop. They do have an online store, so I will be linking that for y'all. And they had gorgeous packs of fat quarters. And I hadn't seen them arranged like this before, and I love it. So let me change the camera so you can see better. Look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? Love it. So I'm a huge fan of Rifle Paper Company, and they incorporated several of their prints. I don't know if all of them are from Rifle Paper Company, and then this one on the back too. So beautiful fat quarter bundle. I don't know exactly what I'm going to make with this yet, but it's going to be very pretty when it's done. Okay. Then the other one I got, I have a cousin that just had a baby boy, and their nursery theme is like woodlands. And so I saw this and I thought it was perfect. Like they got little bears and deer and squirrels camping. This one has the squirrels, flowers, just the brown. This is a bunch of camping gear. And then it had this one on the back. So I'm going to try to make like a super simple patchwork quilt with this. And then I probably need some more filler, a material that coordinates a solid that I can use as filler for like sashing and borders and stuff. But I thought this was super pretty. So I'm going to attempt to make my new baby cousin a little baby quilt with this pack. And then what else did I get? I got a magnet. Oh, that was from the so in Portsmouth you could walk across the bridge and be in Maine. So of course we had to do that because I've never been to Maine before. And so then I was like, yay, that's 3 new states I visited in this trip. And we went and ate at Warren's Seafood, and I had lobster rolls in lobster bisque and clam chowder. It was all delicious, delicious stuff. So that's a little bit about my trip and showing you the goodies that I got while I was there. And the other thing I wanted to say, thank you for, so last week, I'm so sorry, I keep having to clear my throat. I'm really trying not to. Last week, I finally, and I know I've been saying I'm going to do it for a while, opened enrollment for my new course. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that this is something that I do for fun on the in addition to like all the free tutorials that I do for y'all on YouTube and Facebook and on my website. I have just a couple paid for courses that I really I just try to structure them and organize them in a way that's very simple to follow and teach you like everything that I wish someone would have held my hand and taught me when I first got started. So I have a course that's called From Start to Stitch that teaches you how to use an embroidery machine, like the one we're going to do today. I actually went and told on my From Start to Stitch students to come check out today's tutorial because it's a great beginner one. And the other course that I've had for a while is teaching you how to use Embrilliance Essentials software and like really go through and teach you like what each button means, what all the tools do, everything in between, and just showing you all the awesome things you could do with that program. So if you're familiar with Essentials, you know that they have several different programs. Essentials is the one that I tell everyone to start with. And then they have Enthusiast, which is like advanced editing tools. And I always tell everyone, get Essentials first and then add on Enthusiast after. Think of it as an add-on, not a replacement for Essentials, because there are still certain tools that only come with Essentials that are very necessary. So Enthusiast is the advanced one. So I released a course last week specific to teaching you all of those advanced tools in Enthusiast, and it was so great. So thank you for everyone that purchased it. Enrollment was only open last week, and I closed it because it's the first time I'm offering this course. It will open again. Once the course, I've finished teaching all the modules, which there are 9 in this case, it should be done in the middle of April. So probably the beginning of I will open enrollment again. And then for those students that sign up in May, you'll get instant access to everything. So my students that are with me now, we're releasing it 1 week at a time. We're releasing new lessons. So today I'm releasing module 4, which is all about the stitch edit tool, which is really, really fun. And then a new module will be released every week for those students. So my point was, if you missed the enrollment last week, I have a button down below somewhere in the description that says you can sign up for the wait list for enthusiasts, so that I will notify you right when enrollment opens again in May. So if you'd like to be added to that list, you should see a button down below and join the embroidery enthusiast wait list. Okay. All right. Maggie says, I can't wait to start the classes. Thank you for making these. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's Delcy. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Sherry says lobster rolls are her favorite. Well, the ones without mayo, just the warm butter. I think so we ordered both when we went to the restaurant. We were with my friend, my husband, and then all our kids. And I think Drew got the cold version with the mayo. And then Chris and I got the warm version, and then we cut it and shared it and everything. And I like the warm version better too. And then Chris liked the cold version. So he's a mayo guy. But yeah, it was all very good. All right. Yay. Thank you, Marina. Okay. Oh, great. So Gina's loving the new corset farm. Yay. I'm so glad. So one difficult thing though for me this week has been I scheduled myself a lot of cushion to be able to release all these new lessons. And of course, last week I didn't get anything done because I was sick and I didn't have a voice. So I made module 4 lessons, was supposed to be last week, but I got them made this week. But I have a lot of coughing happening in them, but those are all recorded. So now I'm editing all of my coughing out of the videos. It's taken me longer than I would like it to, but should have them all done for y'all today for my friends that signed up for the enthusiast course. The module 4 section has 6 lessons in it. So as soon as I'm done editing the video, I'm just going to go ahead and upload them, just so that y'all can start, because it might take me longer to edit all of them. I don't want y'all to have to wait, so y'all can start watching lesson 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll publish 4, 5, and 6 whenever they're done being edited. All right. Okay. Enough of all that. Let's get it. Oh, wait. No, I have one more thing I want to show you. It's so cute. So cute. Okay. Before we jump in today's project, I got to show you another project we did this week. So I have a membership club. It's called the Sip and Stitch Squad VIP membership. And it's like my shirt. And I got my sign up there. So the VIP membership, what we do is we have a Zoom class every month, and I digitize and give a embroidery design every month to all of my VIP members. And so we had our February class, again postponed, but we had it this week. And this project was so fun. I'm obsessed with these now, and I want to make a ton of them. We made magnetic bookmarks. So let me show you what they look like. So they are in the hoop, and they look just like, a little circle with a tab in between them. I made mine with cork. You can make them with vinyl. You can even make them with fabric if you wanted to. But there are magnets inside of these, and look, see how it clicks, and you got to kind of pull it apart. So you can use this as a bookmark, and it'll do like a bunch of pages in between it. And so it will hold your spot here. And then another use we found for it is that it can be a cord holder. So you can put your cord and hold them like this. And then another use we thought about after we made them is, I don't have my box with me, but when you are organizing your pieces for a quilt, I know they make clips. I've seen like squeezy clips. I've seen paper clips with letters and numbers on them to help you organize all your piles of different fabric A, fabric B, fabric C, and so on. This works great for getting your little pile of cut fabric. Let's see if I can get a couple. Here's some charm pieces. So like if all of these charm pieces were fabric A, I could make myself a bookmark with A on it and then have them all bundled together so they won't come loose, and you can organize that way, and that won't leave an imprint on your fabric. If like some of those clips or paper clips leave like an imprint on them, this won't. So I thought that was a good idea too. So we had a lot of fun in the class. We talked about personalizing them, changing them up. I made Elise one, but she already took it, and we had her an E on one side and we had a little heart on the other. This one we put a flower. So there's so many fun things that you could do with it, and I loved this project. So I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. So if you are a VIP member, you can go check the member portal. The class replay is there, and the design download. And then if you're interested in joining us in the VIP group, it's a lot of fun. You get access to all of our past classes and designs, almost 5 years worth of stuff in there. Really good, fun tutorials and designs. You can come join us, okay? Our next class is going to be the end of March, and we're going to do a digitizing class for this month. Okay, now let's get to the star of the show. What are we doing today? So if you've been with me for a while, you've known I've gone down this quilting rabbit hole. Love quilting now. I mainly do quilting with my embroidery machine, but I'm trying to do it the old-fashioned way. I made my mother a quilt top that I am not done yet. I've made the top. I need to make my sandwich and quilt it. So one of the quilt labels that I made is going to be for her quilt. But what I'm learning about quilts and something really nice to do now that I'm starting to make them to give to people, like my little cousin that just had a baby, and making her baby quilt. I also have one of my best friends, Con, if y'all recognize that name. She's been one of my what do you call, like, hype people since I started my YouTube channel. When they were at night, she would always come on and talk to everyone. Con's been my best friend since 4th grade. She does not embroider, but she was on, would come and share all my videos and type in the comments and tell everyone hi. She had a baby girl the other day. So we are so excited and happy for her. And she has a quilt in the works as well. So with all of these things, it would be really nice if when I give them these quilts, there's some kind of label on the back telling them, handmade with love, or for baby Olivia from Aunt Carly, and then have the year or the month and year, whatever, whatever you want to put on it. So just like a nice little kind of personalized message and the date and, who it's for, who it's from, all of that kind of stuff. So I think I'm loving this idea now. I'm just getting into this myself, but I've learned so much from researching it, and then from my friends here in our embroidery community that are also quilters. I've gotten a lot of tips from y'all. So I just wanted to share all those things today and show you how easy it is to make these. Some people, when I was doing my research, some people will just literally get a piece of fabric and a Sharpie and write the message and then sew that into the quilt. So you can do that. Or if you are into any kind of printing, you can print on fabric. Like my Print Moda Brother printer is a inkjet printer, but it's equipped with a roll of fabric in it. I could print on fabric, so that's another option. Sublimation is an option. I have a white toner printer. I can print out things and heat press it onto fabric, but I think a really beautiful addition would be an embroidered message. And since I primarily do machine embroidery, I thought that would be perfect. So that's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to go over what are some options for you. So like I told you, all those other options, we're going to go into the machine embroidered option. How you can put it together. You have options of buying things like already made, ready to go, or you can put something totally custom together. And we're going to do all of that in Embrilliance Essentials embroidery software. So that was the one I told you. I have a full course teaching you how to use that software. Today we're going to go in that software today, and I'm going to show you all kinds of fun stuff specific to making quilt labels. And then we're going to stitch it out. I got my PE800 here on my table next to me. This was kind of my first embroidery machine. I actually had the older version. I gave it to my mother-in-law, and I got this one. And now I kind of really wish I had the PE900 because that one cuts jump stitches. So if you're on the market for an embroidery machine, you're brand new, PE900 is the way to go. Newer version of what I'm using today. So we're going to stitch it out, and we're going to go over all the options of adding it to a quilt. The possibilities with this project is really endless. There's so many things that you can do. So I'm going to tell you a lot of your options. There's probably some that I'm going to be missing. So if any of our friends in the chat here, like I know I have a lot of quilty friends here, if you hear or like have another addition of an idea that you want to add, please type it in the chat so we can share it with everyone. Okie dokie. I have not been paying attention to the chat. So if you did ask a question, please type it again so I can see it. But okay, so let me first show you the little quilt label that I made. And I kind of cheated and made it look like it's in this quilt, but it's not really yet. So this is a quilt we made in the VIP membership group. So this was a project we did where one class we made the applique pumpkin and leaves, and we did we went over how to make the background quilting for these filler blocks kind of, and then how to stitch. This also came with the design Hello Fall. We did this particular block is like I think 6x6 or 8x8, something like that, and I think it's 8x8 because these blocks are 4ish. I might be wrong. We did this in 2 hoopings, like we stitched hello and then we stitched fall. And so we did it in a 5x7 hoop and got it on this bigger piece of fabric. And we put it all together and we bound it. And we did stitch in the ditch on the back. So this is the quilt label that I made using Embrilliance Essentials. And I got this cute little floral frame off of Creative Fabrica. This is going to be a great option for you. If you have their subscription, you can go on there and download any of their designs. You can go find a bunch of cute little elements to combine together to make a custom quilt label. And then I just used different fonts that I had and typed in whatever I wanted. So this label I'm actually going to use on my mom's little quilt that I made her. So I tried this. Let's see, I used some fabric glue and ironed it to make it stay, but I tried to make it look like it was in the binding because that's essentially what I'm going to do. And this is just one example of many of options. So that's just what I wanted to show you. There is one that I made already. And let's see, some other things. So first, let's go over the type of fabric that you can use to make your quilt label. Okay. My quilt label here that I showed you is just plain cotton woven fabric. I had it out. Here it is. So this is just some yellow cotton fabric. Now, one thing with embroidering on woven cotton is that puckering is going to happen. So we can prevent puckering by interfacing our cotton fabric before we set it up on the embroidery machine. So the interfacing I like, I'm sure there are tons of options for this too, but this is just one that I've have a bunch of, and I've learned from doing Kimberbell quilting projects. This is Pellon SF 101 Shape Flex. Some people call it SF 101, some people call it Shape Flex. You could say the whole name. Anyway, I got a bolt of this, I think off of Walmart or Amazon a while back. But you can buy smaller packages of it too. I've been using it a lot for all of my quilting with my Kimberbell projects. So I went ahead and got a bulk, but you can buy a small package. You can find it on Amazon. I think I put a link to it. Everything I'm going to talk about today is on the Sip and Stitch homepage, and you should see a link for that down below. Okay, I'll put a fresh cough drop in, so we gotta wait for it to kick in. So Amazon's an option. Walmart, I believe, has it. Hobby Lobby, local quilt shops. You should be able to find this in many places. So this works as a fusible woven interfacing. So it almost is just like a plain white cotton fabric on one side, but the other side, it's kind of bumpy and it has an adhesive. And so you are going to iron this on the back of your fabric before you even start. Okay, so that's for if you want to make a quilt label with cotton fabric, and that's basically, I think, all I'm going to do. But you have other options. You don't have to use cotton fabric. You could also use felt. So like craft felt, you can embroider onto felt and it doesn't fray. So you can cut it and not have to worry about making like a hem seam on it or anything like that. You can also cut it with fun shaped scissors, like, or your pinking shears, or if you have any like fun curvy shaped scissors, you can stitch on felt and cut it how you need. You don't have to worry about the edges fraying. Also, my friend Carol said linen is an option and wool is an option as well. So lots of things that you can use as your base of what you are stitching onto. Okay, so that's that. Then we could talk about the shape of it. So in the example that I have here for you, the shape is a rectangle. It can be any shape that you want. If you're going for a look of it being in the quilt, so like in the binding, like I tried to show here. So you see how it's supposed to be. Again, I cheated just to try to make it look like it here. In the binding, you can do a rectangle like this, or more of a square, or you could also do a triangle and have it a shape. Get one of my pieces here. So you can take a square piece of fabric, fold it on a diagonal, and you can embroider your message here and then sew it into the binding like this. And so it's kind of like a little corner piece. So that's an option for you as well. And you can make that triangle as big as you want. So like this is a 5-inch square. I think this is great for a little small quilt like this. If I was doing like the larger baby quilt, I'd probably go for like a 10-inch square or something, so that my triangle was bigger and I can have more room to write my message. But that's totally up to you. I also saw another option when I was looking online where someone made almost like a strip like this and embroidered made by or just a year or something, just like one little simple line of text, and sewed it into the binding like this. So it worked as almost like a handle in it, and it wasn't tacked down on either side, it was open. So that's an option. And if you do the triangle version, you don't necessarily have to tack this side, the open side, down. Just being sewn into the binding will secure it. So that's going to be later. We're going to talk about options of getting it into the quilt. But for shapes, rectangle, square, triangle, strip, you could even make like an a heart and kind of have an applique heart on the back. Those are some options for you too. So it really doesn't have to be a basic shape. It can be literally any shape that you want. Okay. Yeah, so Patty says she loves this, but she hasn't put her backing on yet. So that's good that she could put the quilt label on now. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So you have your fabric types, any kind of shape. We're going to get into the actual design we would add to the label, but for how to actually do it, you have lots of options. You can, if your quilt, so I guess let me show you 3 options. All right, here is my mom's quilt top. Here, I still haven't gotten the backing. Oh, okay, so here's my mom's quilt top. I have not actually quilted it yet, or even I haven't even cut the backing for it yet. So with this one, what I can do, and I guess this is going to be a personal preference because it really depends on the quilting. So I could cut my piece of backing, and then I could use my, let me get my label out of here. So let's pretend this is my backing fabric, and I have it cut to fit the back of this quilt top. I can go in the bottom corner of it and then use my sewing machine and sew here and here, and even all the way around. I could sew all the way around if I wanted to. And if I was doing that, I wouldn't have to use just a regular stitch. I could use it should go this way actually, because I got the raw, these are raw and these are folded in so that the raw edge is not poking out. I could even use a fun decorative stitch here, like a blanket stitch, or like a motif repeating flower stitch. I mean, there's like, my Stellaire has so many fun stitches on it that you can do. And that would be sewing this label onto the backing, or even if I wanted to treat it like a quilt piece and cut here and here and sew it in, I could do that. The only hiccup, I thought, if I do that first and then take my quilt top, get my batting, make my quilt sandwich, and have this already sewn in, I'm then going to quilt. I still have to quilt this. The quilting will go through the quilt label in this area. So that's one thing I thought about. So that's going to be definitely a personal preference for you if you want to sew this into the backing before you even make your quilt sandwich and do your quilting. Okay, that's one option. Now, let's say I decide not to sew this into the backing yet, but actually do all the quilting, make my quilt sandwich. Let me put this on the side. Okay, so here is a little mini quilt that I made, and I quilted the back already. It's kind of hard to tell. But this is a quilt sandwich, and it's not, the binding has not been added yet. All right, that's when I can take my label that I've made, and I got raw edges here and here. I've ironed these edges in. If I wanted to go ahead and do a decorative stitch here on my sewing machine before I add anything, that's an option. So I would turn this on the back, put this right here, and then let's say I was adding my binding. I'm trying to think how I do binding. Sometimes I iron it on the back first, and sometimes I iron it on the front first. Sew it. So if I was doing that, if I sewed it on the front first, I would line up my binding like this, And so I would sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance down, and then what would happen is I would pull it over. But with that first run, I could either put it in now and clip this in place. I'm not doing this right. So here's my binding happening here, and I would, go have it go all the way around. I would then take my label and secure it in place, probably with some pins here and here, and then clip with my binding. And then I would take this to my machine and stitch, and then I would get this incorporated in. And then once that was stitched into place, I would then fold it over, and it's going to cover up that raw edge on the back. And then I do the kind of stitch in the ditch, or the compensating foot, I think it's called, where I'm still stitching on the front, but it catches it in the back, because I like it to look prettier in the front than on the back. But everybody does it different. Some people will sew it this way first and then pull it around to the front and do the stitching right here. So like this one's done that way. This one was, I attached it on the front first, then rolled it over on the back, and then you see that there, but the stitch is hidden on the front that attaches the back. And then some people also hand stitch their binding so that they you don't see this on the back or the front. So binding, that could be a whole class by itself. We did a lot of it in the VIP group with several of the quilting projects that we've done. So, but the point of what I'm talking about right now is just telling you, if you have a quilt sandwich already made and already quilted, you can incorporate your label when you do your binding so that it's sewn into the binding and looked like, when I tried to cheat and tell you that this looked like it was sewn into the binding, because I hid it under the little lip here. So that. Now, if you have a quilt like this one, or let me grab one of my other ones. This is another fun VIP one we did. This is like a bench pillow table runner. And if I used it as a bench pillow, I had a envelope opening to put a pillow in. I could still put a label here, even though this is already bound. But what I would do is hand sew it, and I would make sure all 4 edges are folded in, and then hand sew this into place where it's only going through this backing piece and not coming out through the front of the quilt. Does that make sense? So no matter what you do, there probably will be some bit of hand sewing, unless you incorporate it into the back fabric before you even put your quilt sandwich together. That's the only way, I think, to avoid any hand sewing, is to sew this into your backing fabric first and then make your quilt sandwich with it. Then if your quilt is already made as far as sandwiched and quilt, you can incorporate it into the binding, and then it will sew in that way. And then really it's optional if you want to sew this part as well. With the rectangle, it probably would be beneficial to tack it down in a few spots. But if you did the triangle version of it like this, then no, this way. If you did a triangle version, you really don't have to hand tack anything down here. It could just be sewn into the binding here and here. And then if you do it on a quilt that is already bound and finished and everything, you can hand sew it into whatever position you would like. And to make it fun, you could use some type of embroidery floss. Like I got this with my Missouri Star Christmas box. So I got all these pretty embroidery flosses that are like thicker, so that I could do, you know, give it really a hand stitched looking finish, and just do some running stitch going around it. Or if you are not very good at hand sewing like me, I would probably opt for actually using an invisible thread so no one can see how bad of a job I did. And I could just do a, they call it a whip stitch or a blind stitch, just tacking around the edge here, and then you wouldn't even see it. The last option I want to mention, if that you can do, is you could just really add some Heat and Bond Light or even Heat and Bond Ultra, if you're not stitching through it, and iron it on the back of your quilt in the place that you want, and that will fuse it with your backing fabric, and should hold it into place, and it should hold up with washing. I use Heat and Bond Light all the time on my applique projects that are washed tons of times, and that fabric holds up beautifully on those applique projects. So that's another option for you too. If you absolutely do not want to hand sew anything, you can add some adhesive, fusible adhesive on the back, and iron it into place. Okay. And then you could also iron it and then just add a couple little hand tack stitching spots. All right. Let me find my paper that I printed with all of my ideas. Okay. So placement, we talked about the corner of the quilt. It could go under binding. It could be sewn after. You can incorporate it into a pieced back square of the quilt, but remember that the quilting would go through it. Placement is personal. You can put it anywhere you want. And we went over how to attach it in several different ways. Okay, so that's a lot of the different things I wanted to cover as far as what shape it can be, and how you can, all your options for attaching it, your different options for fabric, all of that stuff. So let me look at the chat now and tell me, all my friends, if there was anything else that y'all thought of as a good tip to give people that are making quilt labels. Let's see. Hey, Stacy and Michelle. All right. Okay, so that's, I haven't seen anything since Patty wrote. Okay. So yes, Merva, if you've, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Minerva, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. She says she missed part of the video. Can I go back and watch it later? Yes. So all of my tutorials on YouTube are recorded as we're going live. And immediately after the live video is over, you'll be able to go back and watch the replay from the beginning. Okay. Yay, Claudia said she's going to make these for her sister. She loves quilting. Roberta says she sublimates a label and then sews it into the quilt. Yes. So, all right. So let's go look. So I only have one little example here for you, but I just wanted to show you some fun ones that I saw online that you can. So here's one example of, let's see, how do I do this? Here's an example. So this is on Etsy, and this is the triangle version. So this is what her fabric looks like. And then let's see, she's doing like a 10.5-inch square and then folding it on the diagonal. And this is what it looks like with it sewn into the binding. So isn't that nice? and it's going on top of already quilted, but before the actual binding. So they'll sew the binding and sew the raw edges of it in, and this is the folded edge, and you can just leave it like that, or you can go in and do some tacks in or do a decorative stitch across without actually letting your needle go through the front of the quilt. All right, so that was, and I think this was the same thing. So look how pretty that is. So I like the corner one. I think maybe we can do that one today since I already made a rectangle one. I'm not sure. But you see, these are super simple and they just have a bit of text on them. Another option that you have is you can purchase a embroidery design already kind of made to be a quilt label. And Designs by Juju had a couple. I'm sure there are a ton more out there, but this was the first place I thought of. And so this one says sewn by, especially for, and usually with her, this is not just one design, it's usually a pack. There we go. Look at all those cute ones. So this one's made for the triangle. I like that. Made especially for, handmade by, made with love and prayer. This is another cute triangle one, stitched with love. And this one's made with love by, and then you would put the name here in that opening between the two swirls. So that's super cute. So that's something you can get from Designs by Juju. Let's see. Here's a whole nother set that you can get. These are all super cute in different kind of square and circular shapes. So those are like ready to go for you, and you just would use your font in them. And then this one's like an applique one. And I think that's it. Everything else is kind of just fonts. This one's one. So that is one option. And then what I really want to go over with you today is how we can make our own version totally custom in Embrilliance Essentials. So let me get my essentials pulled up. Okay. Let's see. Patty says her bench pillow looks just like mine. I plan to put some big buttons on the back to help it close. That's a great idea. Love that. Yeah, so we made this in the VIP group, I think a couple of years ago now. The little spring, this is what it looks like. It can be a table runner or a bench pillow, but we made this in our VIP group a couple of years ago. So you can go and watch the class anytime in the member portal that we have. Okay, let's see. I love to craft says I use the iron-on type and had the iron on the pretty side, the bumpy, the iron, and sewed around it. Then cut it in the middle and turned it inside out and then ironed it on the quilt. Okay, that's an idea. And then sewed around the edges, but the iron down helps hold it in place while you sew. Yes, love that. Yes. Okay, so Michelle said, do you think we could put these on the back of our Kimberbell pillows we made, like Candy Cane Lane? Yes, definitely. So like this, my Candy Cane Lane pillow is up in the next room, way up high on a shelf, and still has the pillow in it. But essentially it's like this. And so, yes, we can go and sew a label on whatever back corner you want and have, Candy Cane Lane, made in December of 25, and add that to the back. Yes. Okay. Just, yeah. All right. Yay. Okay. And so Bumblebee's looking for ideas for a baby quilt too. Okay. So now we've talked about a lot of things. Now let's go into how you can make a custom label with all the fun things that you could do in Embrilliance Essentials. Okie dokie. I want to leave that there, but I want to open up Embrilliance 2. Let's see. Everything I have open here is from my enthusiast class. So let me go and open the label I made already so you can see that. Where did I put it? In my Sip and Stitch folder. Here we go. Okay, and if I click this, all right. So now, okay, you should see my Embrilliance screen now. All right. This is one that I made that I showed you. So I just wanted to show you, it's very simple to put together. I got this frame on Creative Fabrica. And then I used fonts I already had and just created three, each line I did in a different font. And so it's 3 lettering designs. So it's very simple, but the possibilities are endless. And I wanted to show you some good options of places to get things. So I have been having a subscription to Creative Fabrica for years. And they just keep adding. For when I want to say they just started adding embroidery designs to it when I first got into it. And now they have like, let's see what it says when I click this. 124,000 and 157 embroidery designs. Now, these are all made by different digitizers. Okay, so off the bat, I'm going to tell you, not all of them are great. Okay, but it's a great place to come and look when you need something specific and you don't want to go pay $5 for a bunch, or $4 for a bunch of different designs and you're not quite sure. So like when I'm in a position like this and I'm like, oh, I can probably, one of these bows would be super cute to add. I can go download that. And then I could also go and search. So if I go to the top and search just frames, and now it's going to show me everything, but I could go here and click. I only want to see things that are in the embroidery section, not just like clip art stuff. So these are all embroidery designs that are on Creative Fabrica that are included. This is adorable with my subscription. So if you've not looked at Creative Fabrica before, now it's not showing it because I'm signed in. How do I sign out? Let me do something else. Give me just a second. Go on a different thing. And so we can see how the subscription works. All right. And go back here. Okay, so I opened up a different internet browser thing. And on this one, I'm not signed in. So at the top here, it has a free trial. Okay, but I'm going to warn you right off the bat. It says free trial, but you still got to put your credit card information in. Okay, so just be warned of that ahead of time. Now, the free trial, you get 10 downloads. I don't know if you have to download them with a certain amount of time or what, but the actual subscription that I have is this. It's $3.99 a month. That's cheaper than just one embroidery design in most cases. So this is totally worth its weight in gold for the amount of things that you get on here. But you don't actually pay $3.99 a month. They charge you for 1 year total. So I forget what that is. What's 3 times 12 is like 36. No, 4 times 12 would be $48. And that's for the whole year. So I just want you to know those things up front. If you sign up for the free trial, they're still going to ask for your credit card. And I'm guessing if you don't cancel before your trial is over, whatever the case may be, if it's timed or if it's so many downloads, they will charge you. It says $3.99 a month, but they actually bill you for a whole year. So that's more like $48. But to me, it's totally worth it. So I just want to make sure all of that's clear for y'all. If you're interested in getting the Creative Fabrica subscription. Okay, so let's go back I was looking at frames. So this is where I could come here. This is the frame that I showed you that I had already. And there are so many pretty things on here. And here are some that I opened up already that I thought was cute. This one was super cute. This one was cute, where we would just put our name there. If you wanted something, I thought this one was cute. Another one. And then this one. But I see a whole bunch on here that could be adorable depending on what you're doing. All right, so let's pick one. So what are we making? Let's make maybe let's make one for my nephew that I got the fabric for. Not my nephew, my cousin, little baby boy that I'm making the woodland theme little quilt for. So we need something more, let's see, frame. Let's do, I'll type in woodland. I don't know if that's a good description. Oh, look how cute. Or I can do forest frame. Not quite that. So maybe in that case, I would use just a basic frame and then just look for forest-like embroidery designs that I can then incorporate into the design. And then you don't necessarily even have to have a frame around it. It can be whatever you want. So like the little squirrel is cute. The little fox is cute. I could even do something like this and just do the writing above it. So like that's incorporated in the design. Let's see. I want to do something simple though. Oh, this one's cute, but it's more Christmassy, huh? It's probably going to take me too long to decide what I want to do, so I'm just going to make something simple. Let's go. Let's try this one. So this one's cute. I'm going to hit download. It automatically goes to my downloads folder. There it is. It's zipped. I'm going to double click it. And then this is all the design. So it comes, it says border 1. Trying to see what the difference is. I see numbers, so that's probably the size. So let's try the 4-inch size, and let's do the PES. So I'm just going to double click this and it opens in Embrilliance. Let me change my hoop to a 4x4 to make sure it's going to fit. Yeah, it's a little too big. And I actually want to rotate it. And I'm going to resize it to where that red box went away, and now I know it's going to fit in my 4x4 hoop. So this is the design, and like I said, not everything is perfect with Creative Fabrica, so I really like to investigate the design and how it's going to stitch out. And one way to do that is just do the stitch simulator. And I'm seeing this is like a bean stitch. And that looks cute. I'm just making sure they don't have no crazy jumps everywhere. See, there's a jump. So with my machine, it does not cut jump stitches. So I'm going to have a string from here to here. I'm going to cut. But that's not bad. And then it jumps back over here. So I'm just going to pay attention when I am stitching it. I'll probably pause my machine after those jumps and trim them. Or definitely trim them all before I do my writing in the middle. So these are things I like to do when I get a brand new embroidery design from someone I don't buy from regularly, just to make sure things look okay. All right, that looks good. All right, so let's say we're going to do this one. And let me go back to my select tool. So this is my frame. And now if I wanted to, let's see, like for example, that bow is super cute that I saw. Let's just go to all the embroidery designs again. I saw a bow. This one. Okay, I'm gonna download that and open Embrilliance and then go find it in my downloads folder. There's a pink bow, double click, open it up, and now I see all these little bows. So I like this one, I think. So I'm gonna grab whatever format you want. It doesn't matter because when you save your design, it will save in the format you want. So this bow is big. So this would actually do better with a design where maybe I did something at the bottom and not have this bit at the top, which I can do. Actually, I like that look right there. Like if we can cut all this out, that would look cute. And I can do that. I can show you how to do it in just Essentials. We're going to go back to the Stitch Simulator. And I'm going to find, let's see, right below that, those curves there. That's what I want to get rid of. All right, there. So let me zoom in and watch it. I'm gonna just go one stitch at a time. All right, I think I like that spot right there because it goes back and forth. That's gonna lock in the stitches. I'm gonna hit the stop button. And what it's gonna do is you pick a color, any color, and it's gonna change the rest of your stitches to be a different color. And look, I wanna go and get these stitches back. So I'm gonna go find where, right here. So I want, okay, it just jumped here. I'm gonna hit stop and pick a different color. All right, so now this is there. And now I'm gonna go find where this bit stitches till here. And then I'm gonna hit stop again. Okay, so this is where that part stitches. Let me zoom in on the spot so I can really see it. I'm just slowly moving the little bar over. Okay, that's that curve. I want it to stop there. So let me back up individual stitches until, okay, let me get those. This last like back and forth right there, that's going to be a good lock and stitch. Hold those threads in. I'm going to hit stop and change the color again. Okay, so now I have separated this frame into 1, 2, 3, 4 different segments. But by doing that, this is one. This is a segment I don't want anymore. Now I can just hit delete on my keyboard. Boop. This is a section I do want. This is a section I don't want. I hit delete on my keyboard. And then I'm going to take the bow and move it a little bit higher. Something like that. And even though this, I can go make this back to being yellow, so it will actually stitch out all in one step. But it'll probably have a big jump stitch, so it doesn't matter. I could still just leave my thread color on there, and I could stitch all 3 of these out in the same, all these 3 pieces, all in the same color, and it will look like it's connected. I think it's going to be really pretty. Okay, I like this. So I'm going to stick with this. So even though in Embrilliance, it has it as 3 different color steps, I'm going to leave it alone because my machine does not cut jump stitches. And so my machine will stop and cut the thread when it's done stitching this. And then I will hit start again and it will start stitching. It will cut the thread when it's done. and then it will start stitching this and cut the thread when it's done. So I won't have, if I make all the 3 of these the same color, my machine won't stop and cut anything. It will just jump from one point to the next, and I'll probably have threads everywhere. So I'm going to leave them as 3 different colors. If your machine cuts jump stitches and you want to have all of this run through at one time, then make all 3 of these the same color and your machine won't stop. Okay. Let's see real quick. Hey, Julie, thank you so much. She says, do I get a referral fee for Creative Fabrica? And she'd love to support me. Thank you so much. That's very, very sweet of you. Yes, that is how a great way that you can help support me is the few companies that I do have referral links for. Yes, and Creative Fabrica is one of those. And I think I put a link in the description below to Creative Fabrica, or definitely on my Sip and Stitch homepage. Where can we go? Right here. So on my website, carlybell.com, if you go and click Sip and Stitch and homepage, it will bring you here. And if you scroll down, depending on when you're watching this video, this is always the newest at the top. So if you're watching this in May, you know, you'll have to keep scrolling until you see the March 6th. And right here, if you click on this Creative Fabrica, that is my referral link. Same for Embrilliance Essentials. If you ever want to get anything from Essentials, I have a referral link for them. So thank you so much. That actually does support me a lot. Okay, let's go back to Embrilliance. Bumblebee says, do you consider the number of stitches when choosing a design? Yes. So I do. That's one of the reasons why I looked at the stitch simulator. Also, one of the reasons why that bear seam looked really nice, but that also looked heavy. It depends on it. If you choose a design that is denser, you're really going to want to make sure your quilting cotton, if that's what you're stitching it on, is interfaced and stabilized well, so that you don't get that puckering from those dense designs. But I like to watch it stitch out to see exactly how if it looks like it'd be too dense in some spots. But really, when it's the number of stitches, it all depends on the look I'm going for, and then me making sure that I stabilize and interface my fabric well. Okay, so I got this going. And now, if I wanted to add other little elements, like a little heart or a little flower, like you could go to town on this. I can put something up here. It all depends on the look you're going for. If you want it to be simple, keep it simple. If you want it to be busy and extravagant, make it busy and extravagant. But the idea that I want you to walk away with is that you can do anything you want, and you can go and grab even elements from a different design to put in here. So let me look and see what I have open on here already. This is a little floral spray. This is me this is my enthusiast class I've been teaching. These are designs I was using in that. So I don't have anything cute there. I had some other stuff. Super cute. Let me go find it real quick. Oh wait, no, it's in downloads, right? Let me look. I just downloaded it the other day. I haven't been good about moving my organizing my things the past few days. So this was a bee wreath. All of this is off of Creative Fabrica. This was super cute. Let's see. Let's open up. I'm just going to open it in a new screen. So like this is super cute. Say I like just this little flower, or I like the little bee. I can grab those things and copy and paste them and put them in here if I wanted. So that's an option. Let's see. Oh, that was the frame. I did the first one. This is another like pretty design. If I wanted to be from here or a flower, I can grab it. And those are the Easter ones. I think that's all I got. Oh, this sea turtle was cute. So this was something I did in the VIP classes, the sea turtle is super cute, right? I loved the hibiscus on the sea turtle. So I went and I used Enthusiast to do it. It's a lot simpler. But I went and grabbed just the flower out of the sea turtle and I put that on one of those magnetic bookmarks. So, but if I wanted that flower, I could grab it and put it in like each corner here. I think the daisy would be the cutest. Let's see if we can grab a daisy easily. Okay, here's one. So this design isn't bad at all because actually nothing is color sorted. Like those 3 yellow dots are all together. But this flower and this yellow dot is separate. So it's super easy for me to highlight that flower and that yellow dot and hit copy and go to my quilt label and hit paste. And now I have a cute little flower that I could put, and I could paste it again. I could put one over here and one over here. So just to give you some ideas of things you can do. Now this particular flower I don't love because I want a petal right there. Let me see if I could find another flower I like better. These are all the bees. That's the one I grabbed. That one's cute. But the yellow is, I can grab the yellow. It's a little, we do the same thing we did with the frame. We create color stops. So say I like this flower better. But these 3 dots, I'd have to grab all of them. And so that's when I can go to the stitch simulator. I'm going to fast forward until I get to where those 3 dots are being stitched out. Okay, right there. So this is the beginning of that design right there. So I'm going to let it finish. I'm going to find the last time it's at that yellow dot. I'm watching very closely my little cursor right here. It's going to jump from here to somewhere else. I don't remember where. But when it jumps, I'm going to back up to where that cursor is just getting that last stitch of that yellow. There it is. It jumped there. So I'm going to back up one and I'm going to hit color stop and change it to a different. And now this is by itself. And it has this jump in stitch. And if I didn't love that jump in stitch, I could get rid of that too by making a stop right after it. Okay, so let's still, there we go. That happened. And look, just that one stitch, I could hit stop and change that to a different color. And now on my objects panel, that is by itself. That is by itself. That was by itself. I could just grab this and this by clicking the Command or Control keys, highlighting both of those, and then copy and paste. Yeah, so I like that flower better than that one. So delete those and put that flower right there. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. And then copy paste and put one right there. So like I said, you could play with this all day long. And you know, I literally just grabbed a flower from a totally different design just so that I could have a cute little flower in here. So you can dig through designs that you have already and grab just elements of them and incorporate that into your quilt label. All right, and now I think that's enough fun with the design bit. Let's get to the lettering. You can make it say anything you want. So we're going to use the lettering tool. If you're not familiar with Embrilliance, the #1 reason why this program is amazing. But what makes it even better is something called BX fonts. Now, normally with embroidery, and you purchase a font, each letter is its own file. And so y'all saw how I merged things earlier by I drag and drop. There's other methods of merging designs together into one hooping. You would have to go and merge each letter in individually if it was a PES formatted font or SEW, whatever format your machine uses. You would have to merge in each letter at a time and then space them out and figure out, have them all lined up on the bottom and spacing accordingly. With a BX formatted font, it's specific to the software and you can use your keyboard. You don't have to go and merge in each letter. You can just type it out. So I'll put handmade with love by. And we can see that. Now, sizing matters, right? That can't be that big. Embrilliance will come with 15 fonts that they're considered native to the program. So that means when you look at them, they just have the one option, where these other fonts that I purchased online, they come in a bunch of different sizes. You see all the sizes? Native, you don't have to worry about that because you can resize it. The program, anything you resize in Essentials, the program will recalculate the stitches for you. But the native fonts, it also recalculates the underlay for you, and it gives you a lot more control over the letters. So I can put that there, or I can put it actually more like here. I wish I could make it a little bit smaller, but I think that's the smallest it's going to let me do it. And then I can put my name at the bottom. And I can choose a different font. This one is also native, but it doesn't let me make it that small. So when you are looking for fonts that you already own or you go and buy some, look at the variety of sizes it comes in. When you're doing small projects like this, a 1/2 inch font, 0.5, or even a 1/4 inch, 0.25 is a great option to have. Like this one comes in 0.3. And so you can see even that's big. But I could possibly make it a little bit smaller. Oh, wait. It's not the right size. That's the normal size. That's what I want. Yeah. Okay, so I could do something like that. And then I could put, oh, wait, I'm not in my typing thing. There we go. And you could keep it all the same font. I like to have fun and change things up. I don't know if this will be, that's too big. Has to be small. This one's pretty. Oh, I like that. That's cute. This is an Embrilliance native font. So I could put, that's her first and middle name. And I could also write her birthday. So I could write March 3rd, 2026. And then just play around with placement, how you want everything. When it's a native font, you really can play around with the resizing as much as it will let you. And have it go like that. So, and then my machine will stop. It'd probably make more sense for this to stitch first. So I'm gonna drag that, put that there. Nope. There. So Olivia, then her. I'm doing this right. There we go. Olivia, then the date, then handmade, then Carly Bell. And I can stitch all these out in different colors or have, you know, all the same colors or just alternating, whatever you want to do. The machine is going to stop in between each section though, and I can just load whatever color font I want. If I really want to visualize it and see what it's going to look like in the actual colors that I plan on stitching like, then I can go through and change the color on each of these so that I can get a nice visual. Okay, I think I am done with making this design. I wish I could make a couple things a little bit smaller, but I'm just going to leave it alone. All right. Any questions on that? Let me go back and check the chat. I love that. Linda says she could stay on Creative Fabrica all day and fill up her space with designs. Yes, definitely a rabbit hole. Okay. All right, let's see. Julie says she's new to this. If we subscribe to Creative Fabrica, do we need a program like Embrilliance to use the design? If we don't customize a design, do we still need it? No. Okay. So the whole point of having this software is so that you can customize things like I am currently doing. That's the whole point of having that software. By no means do I need it to say, like, I downloaded this design off Creative Fabrica. I want to stitch it out just like that onto a towel or whatever it might be. I don't need software to put it on my machine. Okay. If you are going to stitch the design exactly as it appears, you save. So you saw how I saved, I downloaded those designs. They ended up in my downloads folder. I would go and I just wanted to stitch the bow. I would go to the bow, I'd find it, make sure it's in the format that my machine accepts. And then depending on your machine, like most machines today, they all have a USB drive. So like right now, I have a USB stick plugged into my computer. All I would do is go to that design and just go to copy, or you can do the Control C on your keyboard and then go to your drive that has your USB stick and then click paste item. And now where it went, if it's at, there it is. There, now that bow is on my USB stick, and I would safely remove my USB stick from my computer and plug it in my machine. So you do not have to have the software, but the beauty of the software is to be able to mix and match things, merge designs, and use embroidery fonts that you purchase online. So if you are just getting into embroidery and software overwhelms you, yes, by all means, just go and get designs and stitch them out just the way they are. And then once you get a good handle on that, then you can start exploring software. And you can actually use a free version of Embrilliance. They have two free versions. One will allow you to only use BX formatted fonts. So say I have a new screen. It will look like this. You can press that lettering design. You would get, I think you only get one free font with the free version, but you can go and buy BX fonts from you know, a bunch of my favorite digitizers. I don't know if Creative Fabrica has, I don't see many people on Creative Fabrica offering a font in BX format though. But places like Designs by Juju, Creative Applique, um, those are my two that came off the top of my head, but there are a ton more places that sell fonts in BX font format. You can install them and they would be all saved like this. And then you can go make lettering designs and save them to your USB stick. You can't open any other design. You can't open a PES font. You can only open BX. That's a free thing you can do. And then they have a demo version where you can use any of their programs, but you can't actually save anything. So it's just mainly for you to get a taste of how the program works and and decide if it's something you want to buy. So I hope that helps you, Julie. Okay, let's see. I'm checking the chat. Yeah, some people use Creative Fabrica for sublimation, their Cricut. I use it for clip art. I use it for, they have tons of fonts on there that are like made for your computer, not for embroidery as well. But okay. All right, so Jacinda asks, what is the size of the entire quilt label now that it's done? Now in the bottom of your screen, this is a status bar. Let me get rid of the thing so you can see it all. All right, the bottom part of the software is a status bar, and it tells you a bunch of things. One thing here, it tells you hoop. This is the hoop I have open. A lot of times people think they're working in a 4x4 hoop, and they might be working in a 8x8 hoop, you know, and then they go to their machine and the machine tells you the design is too big. So really pay attention to which hoop you have open. I have a 4x4 hoop. The exact dimensions are actually 3 and 15/16. So it doesn't just say 4x4. Get out of my way. Okay. Then this measurement here tells you the measurement of your design. So my design is 3 and 15/16 wide. So it is the maximum width that my hoop will accept. And it's 2 by 13/16 inches tall. So roughly 4 by 3, 4 inches wide, 3 inches tall. Okay. So I'm going to just cut a probably, you can go ahead and maybe just add an inch to it, or if you want to just do it something extra big, just in case, I could, you know, cut like a 6x6 piece of fabric. Or I can cut a 5x4 piece of fabric and it'll be an inch bigger on all sides. So whatever you want to cut your piece, you can always trim it down after. So if you want to be safe and just have a larger piece ready to go, you can always trim it down after. And it's also good that way. So in case it doesn't stitch quite in the center of your fabric, like if you didn't eyeball it well as far as putting it on your hoop, you can trim it after so that everything is straight, if that makes sense. All right. All right. So I Love to Craft says, I really need to go back through my classes and get Embrilliance back in my head. So that is definitely one of the great things about my Essentials online course is that you have lifetime access. So you can go back through any of those lessons anytime you want. Because yeah, I forget things too. For instance, I was doing something with envelopes. And I don't use envelopes very often at all. I went back and looked at my own notes from my course to remember exactly how to work with envelopes. So yeah, it's great that you can go back through them when you need to. Okay, I'm just finishing going through the comments. Yes, in order to see the little previews on your computer, Thumbnailer is the software you want for that. Was I resizing from the objects pane? So sometimes like when I want to just grab a certain thing, I can click it and it will highlight it. But say sometimes I could also go and click in the objects panel here to highlight the bit that I want and then try and resize it. But you see, I grabbed that instead. I'm gonna hit undo. So yeah, you can click here to highlight it, or you can click, like when I click this flower, it's grouped with the flower and the middle. So if I just wanted to grab the middle, I'd go select it in the objects panel. And now that's only selected, and you just use these little boxes around it and drag it to resize it the way you want. No, I don't have a video on alpha tricks yet, but I plan to do that soon. I need to get all my fonts in order too. Okay, I think that's enough for essentials. I hope that helped you. And now we can move on to actually stitching something, okay, and getting our fabric ready. So let's go to the craft table. Let me clean up a little bit. And let me turn my iron on. And let me think about the colors I want for this. So things you're going to need. I got my 4x4 hoop. I have some cutaway stabilizer, my fabric of choice, and some interfacing, the SF101 Shape Flex interfacing. Let me move some things around. And let me figure out how big of a piece am I doing here. What do I got here? So what I said, the overall design is 4x3. So if I wanted it 5x4, I could do that. So what I can do is I just cut this piece so that it's like 5.5. It's almost by 5.5 by 5.25. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this piece and interface it. So let me move my mat. And so this is just some scrap. So that's another beautiful thing you can do.
Okay, can you hear me now? I'm so sorry I wasn't paying attention. My batteries died. Okay, give me just a second. How long was I with no sound? Oh, geez, y'all really tried to show me. I'm in my zone. Somebody call me. Yep. From the point of cutting fabric, no sound. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm terrible. I need these batteries. This microphone goes out, and I never know when. But can y'all hear me on my? I'm on my computer now. Let me make sure y'all can even hear me. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay. I don't use my computer because, like, when I go walk around my room or buy my machine, like, the sound is not good at all. So I bought a microphone so y'all can hear me better. But then sometimes it just decides not to work. Okay, should be working now. Let me switch back over.
Okay, testing, 1, 2. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, I was in my zone. Okay. Yeah, I'll use my hands a lot. So you knew what I was doing. Yeah, y'all can voice over in your head. Okay, so what I did, I cut the fabric. I cut it bigger than what I needed. And, but I didn't quite make it big enough to hoop it. So what I was saying is your choices, depending on your fabric and how much you have. I was working with like a piece of the scraps of my fabric where like that was as tall as it wasn't going to fit in my hoop. So I was like, that's okay. It's still bigger than what I need my finished label to be. So I cut it, and I'm using medium weight cutaway stabilizer. And so your choices are, if you cut your fabric big enough, you hoop both the stabilizer and the fabric. Okay. If you, like me, and you cut it smaller, you're going to only hoop the stabilizer, and we're going to float it. Okay. I personally would think whether or not you're hooping both or you're floating, still use some of that temporary spray adhesive on your cutaway stabilizer, because that's really going to smooth out your fabric and your stabilizer and fuse them together. Okay. He was watching a silent movie. Yes. Okay. And of course I didn't cough that whole time either. And you would think maybe while I was silent, y'all wouldn't have heard all my coughing. Anywho. Okay. So cutaway stabilizer, fabric of choice. Now, for the cotton fabric, it's great to use the Pellon SF101 interfacing. This is really going to help keep your fabric nice and crisp and prevent puckering from happening. So the first thing I did was ironed my fabric by itself, and I added a little bit of starch to help my fabric be nice and crisp. I ironed it with some steam, and then I cut a piece of interfacing that was slightly smaller than my fabric. Okay. When you're messing with this interfacing, one side is fusible and one side is not. The fusible side is bumpy. Make sure your fusible side is going to the wrong side of your fabric. You do not want that fusible side turned on the wrong way and your iron touches it. Ask me how I know. It's not fun at all. Okay. So with the interfacing, make sure the fusible side is going to the wrong, and then you're going to iron that into place. For my stabilizer that I've already hooped, I used my temporary spray adhesive, and I like to make sure I am not doing this by my machine. I don't want to get sticky stuff all over my table. So you can use either like a grocery bag, or I even have like an old cardboard box, or sometimes I'll just go stand over my garbage can and I will spray this lightly to get some adhesive on here. I think that's everything that y'all didn't hear. All right. So I see someone else talking about basting. That's a great option as well. You can float your fabric on there and then add a basting stitch. You can do this with Embrilliance. With Embrilliance Essentials, there is an option to add a basting box around your design. Okay. If you have Embroidery Enthusiast, you can add a basting box that fits inside your hoop perfectly. So not around the design, but around the outer edge of the hoop. So those are options for you as well. And to access those, when you have Embrilliance open, you go, totally lost my computer mouse. Let me go. Where do we go? Utility. And if you have Essentials, they'll say based design. If you have Enthusiast, they'll say based hoop. So you can do that in there. Sometimes, and also your machine may have the ability to add a basting box. Okay, so we are ready now. I have my hoop, my stabilizer hooped and sprayed. I have my fabric starched, ironed, and add interfacing on the back. This is kind of like easy peasy, just put it in the middle. I gave myself a lot of wiggle room so that if I didn't put this directly straight across, I can trim it after to where everything's straight. But I'm just laying that in there, and then I'm gonna rub it into that spray adhesive that is there. I'm shaking my whole table when I'm doing that. But this is really all the steps that you can take to really prevent puckering from happening, okay? All right, we are ready to go. So now I need to pick thread colors. So I think I like pink for the bow and the frame. So let me find a pink. Okay, I like the little white flowers with the yellow middle. So I got white and a yellow. And then for name, let's do like a lavender. Oh, you know what would be fun? I have a ton of shades of purple. I might do like an ombre with like going from darker to lighter. Let's see. These are kind of too close. So I got 4 lines. I could do 4 different shades of purple. Where are all my other purples? I'm looking at my thread wall. Sorry. Look at that. I need white. White. Oh, here's another purple. Here's another purple. Got lots of purples. My friend, way back in the day, I was doing a sip and stitch, and I was looking for a certain shade of purple, and I didn't have it. And my friend Stacy in Shreveport was watching, and she was so kind. After she saw that video, she said, "You need some more purples," and she sent me a set of like, I think 8 different Madeira purple colors. It was so sweet. It was the best present ever. So thanks again, Stacy, all those years ago, sending me a whole bunch of shades of purple. All right, so the frame will be this. The little flower will be this. And let's see. This. I think this would be fun. Like her name, her birthday, handmade by Carly Bell, something like that. No, I like that. I think that's fun. I don't know where this fits in. This one's super close to that one. All right. Okay. Oh, I see another good suggestion. I do this a lot with my quilting projects, but yes, you can also use a glue stick. If you don't have the spray adhesive, you just have a School Elmer's glue stick. You can put that on your stabilizer and then press your fabric into it. Yes, great suggestion. Can I show the package of stabilizer again? Yes. I have a link for it on the Sip and Stitch homepage. The brand is Stay Perfect. It's sold at Sewing Machines Plus, and it comes in options of getting it in a roll or in pre-cut sheets, and these sheets will come in a bunch of different sizes. So this sheet is actually for a 5x7 hoop, and I've just cut myself some smaller ones to fit in a 4x4 hoop from a different set of sheets that I had actually. Okay. All right. So y'all like these colors? You think this will be pretty? Do the writing in these different shades. I think that'll be pretty. Okay. All right. So I got all my threads. So I'm going to go ahead and load. Oh, I never did save my design. Let's do that. So we showed it kind of earlier, but we're going to go to File, Save Stitch File As. And I'm going to name it Bow Frame Quilt Label Olivia. And I need to go pick my USB stick. So it's going to save in there. And then this is where you, you use the drop down menu to save it in whatever format you want. I have a Brother machine, so I'm going to use PES, and I'm going to hit save. And then, excuse me, time for another cough drop. I need to eject my USB stick safely. So I do that. I just go press this little eject button. And I usually have to wait or sometimes press it a couple times. So let's just watch, and this little section will disappear when it's safely ejected. Oh, there we go. Yes, it went away. And now to unplug it from my computer. And then let's go to the machine. Okay, so this is my Brother PE800. And I got my USB stick, and it plugs in the side over here. All right, I turned my machine on, but it hasn't gone through its little opening process. So it says just step away. The carriage is going to move. It's going to calibrate, alignment, all that good stuff. Okay, there we go. It's ready to stitch. I have my pre-wound bobbin already loaded in there. I personally like to use a thread stand with machines like this that have these onboard spool holders. I don't like these. I find I always end up having tension problems. So I like an upright thread stand, and then the thread will come out the top of here, and I'll go straight into the thread path from there. So I'm going to keep that over here on the side of my machine. Sorry if you don't see it. And my first step of my design is my frame. And I want that in pink. So I'm going to put my thread on my thread stand, run it through the thread path. Okay, this machine does have an automatic needle threader, but you want to make sure your presser foot is down. And then they have a little tab over here. You're going to press that. And now my thread is, needle is threaded. You relift my presser foot, and now I could put my hoop on. There's my hoop. And this has a bracket system. So there are two holes here on my hoop, and they have two brackets here, and they just kind of slide in, and they have a little lever here that you can press. And it doesn't always go in the right way. So to really make sure it's on there good, I usually like wiggle it and make sure it doesn't pop off when I do this, and it's not. So it's good. So threaded, hoop on. Now let's load the design. I press my USB stick. It's going to think for a long time. And then once it opens, it's going to show all the designs on my stick. The more design you have on your stick, the slower it's going to be at opening it. There we go. And I have these arrows. So a lot of these designs are grayed out, and that's because they are too big to stitch on this machine, because the max embroidery field is 5x7. What did I name this design? I named it Bow, so it should be at the beginning, huh? If it's in, there it is. It's actually all the way at the end. All right, so there's my design. I'll hit set. If I needed to rotate it or move it or anything like that, this is a screen I would do it in. I did everything in Embrilliance, so nothing needs to be done on the machine. So I'm going to hit embroider. And the first 3 steps is the frame. Remember we talked about that? I left them as different steps so that I wouldn't have as many jump stitches. So I'm going to lower my presser foot and hit go. And it's going to start stitching. Is it telling me to rethread? Okay, let me check. Let me cut. All right, something's not happy. Let me check the bobbin. I'm going to take my bobbin out and make sure it's going counterclockwise. Run it through the thread path. I like to pull before I cut, pull a few inches out, make sure that tension is set. I think that's what the problem was. Let me try again. Okay, so I'm going to back up to the beginning of the step. It did get a couple stitches in, but I just want to make sure it's all the way at the beginning. All right, let's try again. Okay, so I'm just going to watch it, and it's going to start stitching this frame. And I'm also going to pay attention when I see it jumps. And depending on it, how it does, I may pause the machine, cut that jump stitch, and then let it go again. So if anything is ever going wrong with your machine or you got a crazy jump or whatever, don't be afraid to pause it. You could literally pause it mid-stitch. It's not going to mess anything up, and then you can start it again. Okay, let me go check the comments. Yeah, Patty says y'all like the thread stands too. Yeah, I'm using a 7511 ballpoint needle, Bumblebee. Yeah, 7511 ballpoint. That's typically what I always have on my machines. Yeah, so I see JoJo and Patty are both talking about how their machines gave them trouble when they used that onboard spool holder. I find it just doesn't feed off of it right. There's a jump. So I can either leave that alone and trim it after, or I can pause my machine and trim it. So it's moving away from it. I don't think it's in the way. I'm gonna let it be. And there's a big jump. There we go. So I could let it stitch a couple times and then start. And then what I'll do is I'll trim it right here. Like pull it out the way. And then once the needle comes down a little bit, I could trim that side too. Now it moved away some. I'm sorry, it's gonna be hard for y'all to see. Oh, there we go. Trimmed it. Okay. Demetra has a great question. What free arm machine would you suggest? I have the PE800. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what machine I got after this one. Let's see. You're gonna see my very messy from. But do you see that machine right there? That is a Brother PR1X. It is a free arm machine, but it's still a single needle. It's a great option for if a multi-needle is just a bit too expensive out of your price range. It's like a great middle of the road option for having that free arm. The capability makes hooping so much easier. You have a much larger embroidery field, like this one is 5x7. That one is 8x12. It's actually the same size hoop. Now, if you can get a multi-needle, I want to go really see all my mess. Look over there. This is a Brother 6-needle machine. It also has an 8x12 hoop. So the PR1X is wonderful if you are still okay with having a single needle. The Brother 6-needle is excellent if that is within your price range. It is a significant difference between the two. Okay. All right, Angela has a great question. So why do the digitizers not delete jump stitches? They're so annoying. For some reason, I thought you could delete them in Embrilliance. I don't know where I heard that. So you can. Okay, so first let's talk about it. Well, there goes another one. Okay. When I personally am digitizing a design, like I do for my VIP group, I make the designs myself. I use Stitch Artist and I digitize them. I think about the whole process of where the needle is going, where it starts and where it stops. And when you digitize, you have control over all of that. And so I want to make sure that it makes sense to start at one end and end at another, and not jump and go back and forth between things. That's something that I think about, and I think most good digitizers also think about. But there are some cases where you can have like a clip art picture, and you can have, now Stitch Artist doesn't do this, but other more expensive softwares do auto digitizing. And you can click a button and it will turn that clip art design into an embroidery design. But the software doesn't always think like a person who actually embroiders. And sometimes they have lots of jumps everywhere. And people don't think about fixing it. A lot of people assume, oh, they have a machine that cuts jump stitches, so it's not a big deal. So we are finished. Excuse me, guys. That first bit of the frame, now it's stopped and it's doing this little bit over here. It's set as a different color. So my machine cut and moved, but I'm leaving the same pink thread on, so it's all connected. All right, so yes, some digitizers don't pay attention to jump stitches for whatever reason. Either they just assume your machine cuts it, or they're just auto digitizing it and not working on it in a lot of detail. Now, there is a way to remove jump stitches. So you saw how I broke up that frame in 3 different pieces to include my bow. So look there, that's done. Now it's going to stitch the bow. By breaking it into pieces, it no longer jumps from one end to that end and jump from there to the bow. If I would have made all 3 of those the same color, it would have jumped between all those 3 steps. Making it a different color is making your machine cut and stop and move to the next point. So if there are any points in the design, I could have gone and done this. Every point that I saw it was stitched in one place and then jumped over here, I could have gone and created a color stop, just like y'all saw me do when I was breaking that frame up. Create a color stop, make the next part a different color, and then that way your machine will finish stitching here, cut, and then move over here and wait for you, because it thinks that you need to change the thread color. But in actuality, I'm leaving the same thread color on the whole time. So that's a way to remove jump stitches from a design, is to create color stops. And if you have essentials, you would do it just like I did with the stitch simulator and finding that exact spot on the screen where the stitches stopped where you wanted before it moved on to the next stop and change the color. If you have enthusiasts, it's a lot simpler because you can go and select individual stitches and select them as a group and then make them a different color or separate them from the design. So there are a few different options depending on if you have only essentials or if you also have enthusiasts. I think it's so cute with the bow, and it flows right into that frame pretty nicely. I like that a lot. All right, so we're just waiting for this bow to stitch out, and then I'm gonna change it to white. And actually, I did not think about doing it when I had the program opened, but the way it's stitching is it's doing the white part of the flower and then the yellow part, and then it moves and does another white and another yellow. I could have in the software color sorted it so that it did the two whites at the same time and the two yellows at the same time. But since I didn't think of doing that ahead of time, all I'm going to do is on my machine, I'm going to stitch the first white step, then I'm going to leave my white thread on my machine and jump and skip ahead to the next white flower step. And then I will back up and stitch both the yellows together, if that makes sense. Okay, so it is done with the pink. I'm going to cut it up here. I need to raise my presser foot, pull it out. And now I'm going to load my white thread. Lower my presser foot, thread the needle. Okay, and now I'm going to start stitching the first of the white flowers. Okay, and now the next step is the yellow. So let me just show you my screen here. There's a needle plus minus button, and then there's spool plus minus, and these are to move around individual stitches. These move around whole steps. So I'm gonna go ahead one whole step, and now I'm on the other white flower. So now I can go back and hit start, and it's going to go stitch the other white flower while I still have the white thread on there. Ooh, that's great too. I see JoJo saying she's really enjoying using variegated threads. Yes, I love using variegated threads on like quilting or a bean stitch design where you see that effect happening. I don't love it as much on satin stitching because then it ends up just looking like stripes. But there are a lot of fun things you can do with Barry. Betty, in my opinion, which company offers the best 1/4-inch font? Really, the only place I've purchased 1/4-inch fonts was Designed by Juju. I haven't looked around to see where else they have some good ones. But some of my favorite, when I do have a little tiny project to do, I bought, what is it called? Patch Artist from Embrilliance. And that is a software that helps you to create custom patches. And when you buy Patch Artist, you get 28 native fonts for Embrilliance. And several of them come in super micro sizing. And they even have some that come in a way that it's made to be used with 60 weight thread or fine line thread. And so those are actually my favorite tiny fonts to use, is the ones that came with Patch Artist. Okay. All right, so now it's on this yellow. I could stitch that now and then back up to the yellow that goes over here. Bit dense. So you saw my fabric wanting to come up because it's a bit dense. And then I also have a thread tail. That happens there. Okay, so now it wants to go to the writing, but I need to back up. So I'm gonna hit the needle plus minus, and then I'm gonna hit the spool back. If I go back, that's the yellow. Back again, that's the white. Back one more time. And I'll double check. Yeah, that's the yellow, and I see the little dot in the preview picture. So now I'm gonna hit stitch. And now it's gonna go do the yellow in that little flower. Something else cute we could have done is I could have cut out these little corner pieces in this frame and put a flower there, like replace this little bit with a flower. That would have been cute too. Lots of cute stuff. Okay. Now I need to go back to where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead. So right now it's on the white. That would be the yellow. That would be the name. So I'm just kind of going through it in my head. And if I don't fast forward to the right spot, I'll just go back until I see where I'm supposed to be. Oh no, I didn't make Olivia Kahn and the date 2 different colors. So it's actually stitching both of those at the same time. So if I want to do my whole different purple color scheme here, what I can do is when it's done stitching her name, I will manually pause the machine and cut it before. So I have to watch it and make sure I do it right. I'm still second guessing myself. These look obviously ombre. No, this goes this way. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one. I got cut thread. Okay, putting my darkest purple on first. Okay, it's on the right step. Let's start. Okay, Bumblebee says, do you have to worry about the ends of the bobbin threads on the bottom of the design? Can they get tangled up in the machine? No, so if everything is threaded appropriately, the bobbin and the tails, they'll all just get stitched through. Now, if you ever do have trouble with a lot of thread bunching and nesting on the back of your design, that's because something is wrong. Usually that something is either things are not threaded correctly, whether it be upper or lower, or you have debris or dust in your bobbin case. And you can take all of this off and dust in your machine under the needle plate. And there might even just a little sliver of thread in there under your in your bobbin case can cause a lot of trouble. So that would be what I would recommend if you see a bunch of nesting. I'll show you an example because it happened when I was stitching this design. Okay, so this is one of my magnetic bookmarks. Look right there. Something happened and there was some debris in my bobbin case and it nested a whole bunch right there. But I was like, it's on the inside of the bookmark. It's fine. Nobody's going to notice. But yeah, if you see something like that happening under and you catch it, while it's still, you'll hear, like it sounds bad when it happens. You can take everything off, take remove the needle plate and really dust inside under your bobbin case, and that will help. Okay, so I'm watching. It's on the second to last letter. Also, when it's done stitching her middle name, I'm going to hear my machine slow down, and it's going to do the, or it might jump. I don't know. We'll just see. I'm hoping I can stop it in the right spot. Last letter. There we go. Slow. I pressed it. There we go. Ha ha, it stopped. And I could actually go back one stitch. There we go. And hit the cut button. All right. So now I can change the thread color. I've done this a few times. Sometimes you could get lucky and pause your machine right in the same spot. Sometimes you don't. But the more you play with your machine, the better you'll get at it with doing little things like that. Okay, next color. This tutorial is taking forever, so thank you for oh wait, I didn't actually thread the needle. Nope. Okay, so let me I need to back up. See the right spot. Okay, I went over there. So I'm gonna hit plus until it, there we go. That's where I want to be. Would help. I actually did thread the needle. There we go. Now I can start stitching. Okay, I've officially had all my soft drops that I put on my table, so I gotta find more. Okay. Julie said, if you didn't hit the cut button on your machine when changing colors, but cut the top thread yourself, you could avoid the possibility of a nest since that thread continues, like changing. Yes, definitely. This is something I do when I want to avoid that nest on the back. Like for the back of this project, it doesn't matter because the back will never be seen. It will be sewn on the back of the quilt. But for in the hoop projects, like I showed you this one, right? Now, it actually started stitching the design somewhere right here. This was the front. And normally when you start stitching a design, you have like a little nest happen where a bunch is happening. So, but in the hoop projects, what I do is I have my stuff, my needle's in the right spot. I will hold my top thread, lower the needle, bring the needle back up, and I will pull the bobbin thread up. And so I'll have both the top thread and bobbin thread held out of the way and then start stitching. And then I will trim those two tails pointing up, and that will prevent a nest from happening on the back. So whenever that you want to not have any kind of nest on the back at the start of a design, pulling that bobbin thread up will prevent that from happening. This was just something that happened because my machine freaked out on me, and I heard it, but I didn't stop it until it was kind of too late. Okay. All right. So that was the second purple color. Almost done. Actually thread my needle and start. Angela, she says, thank you for taking the time to do this tutorial, even though I'm still recovered. Thank you for dealing with my coughing. I appreciate y'all still watching. Ooh, that's a good one. Ricola lemon mint cough drops work great for them. Great for me. Okay, I will try that, Patty. Thank you. I just have regular lemon honey, I think. Halls cough drops. I always had the Ricola ones. So another tip for my friends that have machines that don't cut jump stitches, and see how we're stitching letters. And there's going to be a jump stitch between each one of these individual letters, right? This case, they're going to be so close together, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing like a larger font and the space between the letters is obvious and you don't want to have to go cut the jump stitches in between each letter, and in Embrilliance, you can go and highlight each letter of a design and make it a different color. By telling the software that, hey, I'm stitching each one of these letters in a different color, is going to make your machine stop between each letter so that it can cut and allow you to have time to change your thread color, even if you're just stitching the whole thing in one thread color. So that's an option for you as well to prevent jump stitches. Now, when I stitch something like this on my Stellaire that cuts jump stitches, I can have it all in one color and it will cut the jump stitches for me automatically. Or if you get the new PE900, it will cut them for you. That was one of the main reasons why I upgraded from this machine to there's several reasons. The free arm machine, I can hoop more things. I had a larger embroidery field and it cut jump stitches. Beautiful. All right, so while that is finishing stitching out, I think we covered all the ways that it could go, that once the quilt label is done, how it can go in a quilt. But did y'all need me to actually sew a quilt label into stuff? Did you want to see that before this tutorial is over? Just let me know, because I could sew this one in here. Oh, something else I forgot to tell you is another option. If your quilt is already done. So, another option. If your quilt is already done like this one is, I could get my seam ripper and just pop open these threads here and then scoot this guy in here and then sew them back. So that could be an option too. Let's do that real quick. So I'm just sticking my seam ripper in right there. Like this. I don't know how far I need to go. All the way over here. Okay, let's go change the thread color to the last one. Last shade of purple. Something is not right here. It looks like the thread is in a knot on the spool. There we go. That's better. Okay. Get the needle and start. Okay, so stitching that last step. All right, and I got a quilt that's already done, but I am using my seam ripper carefully, pull out the threads in this corner. All right, so now that's all open and exposed. Let me get this side too. There we go. Okay, I'm good. So get all these little pieces out. Now that's opened. And now I've already folded in this side, and I actually used a little tiny bit of glue. You can either use that Elmer's glue stick, or I had this little tiny cute bottle of glue that had a nice point on it. And what I did was I just put the glue there and I folded the fabric over. Another thing I did was I folded it, I made a crease, and then I opened it up and I cut away the stabilizer only in that little tiny strip there so that it would fold over easier. So I did that on both, and then I kind of trimmed a little corner here, tried to miter a corner so that I could do that. So then I ironed it and it really set the glue. So now that's kind of like already done for me. I could also go to my sewing machine and make a nice decorative stitch from here to here, holding that hem in and giving it a nice look without stitching, and it would go through on the front of my quilt, right? So that's an option for you as well. Can you go a little bit more that way? All right, so I could do this like that. And then just go to my sewing machine and sew right back where it was. So that's kind of easy. When the binding is already done, is that I could just undo it in that one spot and then go and sew it back into place. And then I can either add some heat and bond on the back of here before I do that, get it in place, and then use my iron to set it so that it's nice and fused with the back of my fabric of my quilt. And then I can go hand stitch this in. So that's some other options for you for attaching it. All right, we are done stitching this quilt label. Oops. And so here you can see the finished look. Now, because my machine doesn't cut jump stitches, you see all these little jump stitches, I would just go and hand trim all of those out of there. But I think it's super cute. I can take it out of the hoop. And now this is when I could really trim it to be a size that would work for what I want to do. Let me get my little remote thing so I can zoom in more. Okay. So I like to use tweezers when I'm doing stuff like this because it helps me get those little jump stitches trimmed good. And it's up to you. Like, I only trim the ones that are like most noticeable. The ones in between the words, not in between the letters per se. I have one here, like where I finished stitching at the bottom of the eye and then it jumped up to do the dot. There's a stitch there. Okay, that looks better. All right, so I trimmed all my little jump stitches. And now I could trim this to the size I want and fold in the edges so that it will be where the raw edges are not poking out. But again, just to tell you, because there's tons of options, if you didn't want to create a fold over seam, you could also just use pinking shears and cut the edges and leave it as it is. So that's another, lots of options. Oh yeah, Angela said double-sided tape might work as well for holding things in place. So I'm going to do, so I'm going to trim this. So I'm going to look at my design. My design is actually a little less than 3 inches. Yeah, right around 3 inches tall and 4 inches wide. So if I want to cut it to where it's an inch above and an inch below, and then an extra inch on the side. I actually can't do that. It's not wide enough. So I'm gonna just do as wide as I can with the fabric. And then it is an inch. Let's see. I'm more like a ½ inch above, so I'll make it match for both. I have a ½ inch extra on this side and a ½ inch extra on this on the top. So I'll cut like this, and cut like that. Now turn it and make a ½ inch. Extra on each side. Okay, so now I have something like this. And so these, depending on which corner I put it in, you know, these sides will get sewn into the binding, but these won't. So I want to fold that in and iron it on both the sides so there's no raw fabric showing. A mess. Okay. Annie says, see, I came to watch because people are always asking me how I do my labels, and I was sewing in the sewing room anyway. This is a great video for beginners. Lots of good beginner tips here. Yay, thanks, Annie. All right, and if you have any tips to share too, since you seem like you got this under control with how you already make all your own labels. Great. All right, so yeah, that's going to be sewn in. So with this, it's really, I'm just barely folding that over. Let's see. Okay. Like this. So I'm just kind of doing that. And then I'll separate the stabilizer and the fabric. And I'll use my scissors and just trim the stabilizer here. So it makes it a little easier to fold. Like that. I'll do the same thing here. Wait, this side. I could also use my ruler. Just draw myself almost like a little 1/4 inch mark. Oh, I didn't even draw nothing. Oops. There we go. And then I can just cut along that line. So I'm not good at eyeballing things, so that's probably more helpful for me. Okay, and now I'll fold my fabric right in on that line that I cut. And then with the corner, just kind of trim that a little bit off the edge so it's not poking out when we do both sides. Okay, and then this is when you have some glue. Run some glue right along those edges. Okay, so Annie recommends giving yourself a little bit more room than what I'm doing to cut the corners out before she folds them over to reduce bulk. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so we end up with something like this, where my outer sides are folded in, so I don't have any raw edge, and then these sides are open. So then, say this was her quote. I haven't even planned her quote yet, so I don't even know what colors it's going to be. But I can then tuck it in the corner. Sorry, right there. I undid my binding, tuck it in the seam, and now I can restitch that. If you haven't done your binding yet, then I would pin this in place and then plan my binding. Add a strip. Where to go? I lost my fabric that I was gonna pretend to bind this. Let's see, I got another strip. Okay, so old and then like I said, it all depends on how you want to do your binding. If you want to sew it on the back side and then fold it over and either machine sew it on the front or hand sew it on the front. And then your other option is to machine sew it on the front first. And if you do that, I think you could still pin this into place and have it go through all of it. But if that's too difficult for whatever reason, you could still also wait until this step and sew it in on that side. So if y'all want me to, I can try to move machines around and get my sewing machine out. Let me know if y'all really wanted a visual of actual sewing, but it's just straight line, putting it in place and stitching it in with the binding. Just let me know. Thanks. You like so Patty likes I got this on Amazon, I think. I'll try to find the link for it and add it to the Sip and Stitch homepage with the listed tutorials. And then I did add the link for the invisible thread. So saying we got this in there, and that is sewn in with the binding. Just thread yourself a needle and go through only the back of the quilt and the needle. So what you're going to do is only grab the back of the quilt and then go grab just a little bit of the edge of your label and then come out. I don't even have a knot on the end of this, but something like that, to where you're going to just tack it right along the edge and it's almost invisible. So it all depends on the look you want to go for. If you want it to be where you can't really see the tack down, then you can use this method. Or if you want to do a decorative stitch, you know, pick a contrasting thread color, do an embroidery floss so that it's super thick and visible. Whatever you would want to do. And I would hide that knot back there. This would be sewn in. And then again, go through the back of the quilt only. And then the edge of your label, like right where the crease is on the side. Something like that. So if you get the hang of it, you'll see to where it will be hidden and you won't see it in place. So then all of this will actually be tacked down and not go anywhere. And again, remember, you still can add some fusible adhesive on the back of this so that it doesn't move or anything when you're stitching it, and everything stays in place. So, okay, I think that's good. We covered a lot, and we've been here for a long time. So thanks to everyone who stuck out this very long tutorial with me. I hope it helped you and you learned some fun things, whether it be with the embroidery machine or with Embrilliance or with quilts. The possibilities are endless. There's so many fun things that you can do. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this replay later, feel free to post them in the comments. You can also contact me on Facebook, or you can email me at hello@carlybell.com if y'all ever need anything. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Patty said, try folding the quilt right at the label and it'll be easier to catch the fabric in the label. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not the best at hand sewing whatsoever. I'm still working on that. So thanks so much, guys. I appreciate y'all. Our next sip and stitch, let me find my calendar, will be towards the end of March. So the actual March sip and stitch will be on the 27th. And what are we doing? I don't remember. We're going to do an in the hoop zippered bag on my little bit bigger machine, the Brother NQ1700E. So it's a little bit larger flatbed machine, has a 6x10 hoop, and it cuts jump stitches. So we're going to do a really fun in the hoop zippered bag project for our next sip and stitch. So if you'd like to stay up to date on all the tutorials I do, whether they're the free version, free tutorials like on YouTube, or one of my paid for courses or workshops, if you are on my email list, that's where I send a newsletter once a week, just kind of telling you everything that's going on. If you're interested, there should be a link to sign up for the email newsletter down below. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. And I hope all of y'all have a great rest of your Friday. All right. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.